Hello and welcome. You're here for an explainer from the You Need Faith in Jesus team. And today, wow, we are diving into one of the most powerful reunion stories you will ever read. It's a story of betrayal, of forgiveness, and of an incredible divine purpose, all packed into Genesis chapter 45.
All right, so here's how we're going to walk through this amazing chapter. We'll start with the shocking reveal. Then we'll look at God's sovereign plan behind it all. After that, we'll see the incredibly gracious invitation Joseph extends. And finally, we're going to talk about how this ancient story speaks directly to you and me today.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The tension is it's through the roof. Joseph is completely overwhelmed with emotion. He just can't hold it together any longer. He orders all the Egyptians out of the room because this isn't for public eyes. This is a deeply personal, family-only moment of reckoning.
Can you even imagine the shock? I am Joseph. With those three words, their whole world just shatters. This powerful Egyptian ruler, the man who literally holds their lives in his hands, is the brother they sold into slavery and left for dead 2 decades ago. The one they wronged is now the one with absolute power over them.
They are completely speechless, paralyzed by fear. And you know, this moment is such a powerful picture of a sinner standing convicted before a holy God. It's almost a preview of what the prophet Zechariah would later write about, a day when the nation of Israel will look upon the one they pierced and mourn. It's a moment of pure conviction and recognition. But then, right in this moment of sheer terror, Joseph does something they could never have expected. He doesn't condemn them, he comforts them. He completely reframes the entire story, shifting the focus away from their terrible sin and onto God's incredible, overarching plan. First, he shows grace. He says, "Come near to me." Then he looks the painful truth right in the eyes, saying he's the one whom you sold into Egypt. See, he doesn't pretend it didn't happen, because real reconciliation has to be honest. But even as he names their crime, he calls himself your brother, immediately showing his heart is for forgiveness, not revenge. And here it is. This is the heart of the whole chapter. He tells them not to be angry with themselves. Why? Because God sent him. This is the pivot point. It wasn't just their action, it was God's mission. This is that amazing promise we see again in Romans 8:28, that God is always working things together for good, even through our absolute worst moment.
And this lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you have the evil intentions of men selling their own brother into slavery. On the other side, you have the sovereign hand of God using that very same act to bring about salvation. God didn't cause their sin, but he masterfully overruled it to accomplish his much greater purpose. I mean, think about this journey for a second, from the pit to the palace. It's such a powerful picture, a foreshadowing of the exaltation of Christ. Right after his suffering and death, Jesus was raised up and given all authority. In the same way, Joseph, the rejected brother, becomes the ruler and the savior, all part of God's incredible design.
So now that he's established God's purpose in all this, what's next? Judgment? Revenge? No, not even close. Instead, Joseph extends an urgent and unbelievably gracious invitation to his entire family. And just listen to the speed in his voice here. Haste, tarry not. Joseph is basically shouting that there is no time to lose. This message of life and provision is urgent. It's a beautiful picture of the Great Commission for us as believers to go quickly and tell everyone about the glory of our King and the salvation he offered. And where does he tell them to go? To a place called Goshen, a place near him. This is so important. God's salvation isn't just about rescuing us from something, like a famine. It's about bringing us to someone, bringing us close to himself, into a place of provision and safety, set apart from the world that's in judgment.
Then he gives this incredible command: don't even worry about your stuff. Wow. I mean, talk about a test of faith. He's asking them to let go of all their old, worthless possessions in a land that's dying of famine, and to trust that the riches of an entire kingdom are waiting for them. What an exchange.
Okay, so that's an amazing story about a really dysfunctional family in ancient Egypt. But what does it have to do with you and me right here, right now? Well, let's bring it all home. This story is basically a blueprint for our own lives. It's a call to view our pasts, even the painful parts, through the lens of God's sovereignty, not through victimhood. It teaches us to trust him for provision in our own personal famines. It challenges us to let go of the stuff of this world to grab hold of the true riches he offers. We're meant to share the good news with that same urgency Joseph had, And finally, to maintain unity with each other on the journey, just like Joseph warned his brothers not to fall out by the way. So as we finish up, I really want to leave you with this question. Just let it sink in. If God could take this family's absolute worst moment, their greatest betrayal, and turn it into the salvation of an entire nation, what famine in your life is he preparing to redeem? Your deepest pains can become the very vehicle for his greatest purposes. Thank you so much for joining this explainer from the You Need Faith in Jesus team.